Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack the fascinating evolutionary biology and modern veterinary science behind exactly why your cat sleeps so much. I mean, have you ever looked at your cat passed out in a sunbeam for the fourth time today and wondered what is actually going on inside that furry little head? Well, you're about to find out. Okay, let's dive right in by busting a massive misconception. That 18-hour sleeper currently hogging your couch, they aren't lazy. They are actually a total marvel of biological optimization. You see, we tend to project our own human sleep habits onto our pets, just assuming that all that downtime means they're slacking off. But science tells a completely different and way more interesting story. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with not lazy, just efficient. Then we'll look at the feline sleep architecture, explore do cats actually dream, talk about modern threats to catnaps, and finally wrap up with sleep changes and senior health. Starting with Section 1, not lazy, just efficient, the evolutionary imperative of the catnap. 78. That is the average length in minutes of a single catnap. By taking these highly strategic, bite-sized rests, cats can accumulate up to 18 hours of sleep a day. Oh, and if you've ever noticed your cat sleeps even more when it's raining, that is completely by design. We call it the rainy day effect. A drop in barometric pressure literally triggers a biological spike in their melatonin, hardwiring them to just sleep through bad hunting weather. So it's not a glitch, it is a perfectly calibrated biological feature. Now, unlike us humans, cats are not nocturnal, they are crepuscular. That means their wild ancestors evolved to be incredibly efficient, low-light predators. They expended these massive bursts of energy hunting during the twilight hours of dawn and dusk. So to survive, they absolutely had to fiercely conserve that energy during the bright day and the pitch-black night. And that brings us to a major difference in how we rest. Humans sleep in one highly vulnerable monophasic block for about 8 hours. Cats, on the other hand, use polyphasic sleep, a trait they actually share with over 3/4 of all mammals. This allows them to maintain high metabolic readiness round the clock. Basically, your cat is quite literally always ready to hunt, even when they look completely passed out on the rug. Section 2, the feline sleep architecture. Inside the polyphasic brain, let's look at what's actually happening in there. So out of all that sleeping they do, 75% of it is actually a very light, non-rapid eye movement state, or NREM. During this phase, they are predatory ready. They could literally spring into action in a fraction of a second. Only a mere 25% of their sleep cycle is actually dedicated to that deep, restorative slow-wave sleep and REM sleep. And that small fraction is absolutely vital for their immune repair and memory consolidation. You can actually spot this 75% NREM phase at home using what we call the ear flick test. Try this out. Next time your cat is dozing, watch them closely. If their eyes are closed, but those little ears are still rotating around like fuzzy radar dishes toward ambient sounds in the room, they aren't in deep sleep at all. Their brain is actively scanning the environment for threats, for prey, or, let's be honest, for the sound of a food can opening. But here is the tricky part. For a cat to get that vital 25% deep sleep, they have to pass through a really fragile 15 to 20-minute transition window without being startled. If a door slams or a dog barks or we walk loudly past them during this window, their whole cycle resets. They get thrown right back into high alert rest, completely missing out on the physical restoration their body desperately needs to stay healthy. Moving to Section 3. Do cats actually dream? Twitching, squeaking, and invisible prey. It turns out they absolutely do. In fact, kittens actually spend the most time dreaming out of any age group, mainly because they have vast amounts of new world information to process. This was famously proven by a scientist named Michel Jouvet back in the 1960s. He showed that cats in REM sleep exhibit the exact same low-voltage brain activity and relaxed muscle state as dreaming humans. As cats age into their senior years, though, that REM sleep naturally starts to decrease. Now, understanding these sleep stages really helps solve a super common panic for pet parents. You know that moment when you ask yourself, wait, is my dreaming cat having a seizure? Well, normal REM twitching involves some light chattering, whisker twitches, and importantly, a total loss of muscle tone known as atonia. That's just a healthy predator chasing invisible mice in dreamland. A medical seizure, on the other hand, involves dangerous, full-body stiffening and usually comes with lethargy or vomiting when they wake up. Section 4. Modern threats to catnaps. When urban environments disrupt biology. Unfortunately, our human homes are actually packed with hidden sleep disruptors. Take mechanical noise, for instance. A refrigerator humming over 50 decibels can easily trigger that hardwired startle response we talked about. Then there's light at night, or LAN. Artificial streetlights shining through a window mess with a cat's highly sensitive circadian clock, completely inhibiting their natural melatonin production and throwing off their activity peaks. And when you stack these stressors, the noise, the artificial light, the constant movement, it really degrades their overall welfare. You really have to think about the unseen auditory world in your house. We might go out and buy a quiet dishwasher, but to a crepuscular hunter, the ultrasonic high-frequency clicks it emits are literally deafening. This is exactly why creating a vertical sanctuary, like a tall cat tree tucked away from all that ground-level mechanical noise, is absolutely vital for them to finally get some deep sleep. Our final section, number 5, sleep changes and senior health, when disruption signals disease. We really have to stop just blaming age when our older cats change their habits. If your 12-year-old cat suddenly starts pacing at night with a bad case of the 3 a.m. zoomies, or crying in the hallway, or maybe sleeping so deeply that the vacuum doesn't even wake them up anymore, that is almost always a medical red flag. Cats are absolute masters at hiding pain, so a disruption in their sleep is often the very first outward sign you'll get that something is medically wrong. Let's translate some of these quirky behaviors into actual medicine, because the clues are all there. If your cat does that 3 a.m. hallway patrol and they're constantly hungry, that's a massive indicator for hyperthyroidism. If they're frequently waking up just to drink heavy amounts of water, it points strongly to chronic kidney disease. If they suddenly stop jumping up to their favorite high sleep spot, a behavior we call route editing, they are very likely masking arthritis pain. And a complete sleep-wake reversal, where they sleep all day and yowl all night, can signal cognitive dysfunction syndrome. So to help your vet actually solve this puzzle, you need to track these specific metrics week over week instead of just guessing. Grab a notebook or pull up an app on your phone. Notice if that water bowl is emptying out faster. Check if the litter clumps are suddenly much larger. Maybe even count their resting respiratory rate when they are truly deeply asleep. By bringing this kind of clear, actionable data to your vet, you incredibly fast-track their ability to diagnose and treat these very common but highly manageable senior illnesses. I'll leave you with this thought to end our explainer today. Your cat's non-stop napping isn't a sign of laziness. It is a beautifully complex, polyphasic survival mechanism that's been honed over millions of years of evolution. So as you watch your cat rest today, take a moment to really appreciate the wild, fascinating biology hiding just beneath those twitching whiskers. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and hey, keep an eye on those ear flicks.